And I'm Nell.
And today we're going to be talking about Alice by Heart.
There was a moment there and I was like, actually, what the fuck are we doing?
I genuinely had to think about it.
What is it this
What
week?
is it this week? We're returning to Molly Gordon and her band of Nepo babies. I used to say Ben Platt and his band of Nepo babies, but this week it's Molly Gordon and her band of Nepo babies. Um, that is all to say though that Molly Gordon, we do love you.
I'm on your side. No matter
No,
what happened, I'm on your side.
my favorite tweet of the year is just I'm on Molly Gordon's side. I love it. But first, we have quite a lot of news to get to, and it's a lot of discoursey stuff,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So let's start with probably the biggest news. I would say this is one of the biggest news stories of the week.
Yeah. It feels quite
Nicole,
old now.
yeah, because it literally happened a week ago, but
Yeah.
people are still adding their takes, making the memes. The memes are funny. Nicole Scherzinger commented on Russell Brand's Instagram post with a red MAGA spin-off
Technically,
hat.
it wasn't MAGA.
It technically wasn't MAGA. It was like God is first or something like that.
No, it was
But
like,
then
it was make Jesus first again.
yeah, but it was very much like a MAGA merch item.
Yeah.
And Russell Brand is MAGA and also a rapist, allegedly.
Technically, we still have to say allegedly.
So the UK courts haven't been able to get him. Yeah, that's why he's been hiding out in America. She commented, "Where did you get that hat?"
Which is a great comment. Like, objectively, great comment.
The memes have been really good.
Yeah.
Just where did you get that hat? But hence Nicole Scherzinger MAGA question mark has just been the topic on everyone's minds, and a lot of people have been like, "Oh, do we boycott Sunset now?" And people are being like, "Oh, we need to get rid of like the one MAGA person in on Broadway." And I have so much to say on this. Let me take a sip of my coffee before I start.
First of all,
First of all,
Nicole Scherzinger and Laura Osner's linked up when?
I like those jokes as well. We've decided to be funny about this sometimes. Where do I start? When I say this, I'm not saying this because I think it's a good thing. I'm saying this because I think it's a fact of life. Nicole Scherzinger is not the only MAGA person involved on Broadway at the moment.
No,
She might
absolutely
have
not.
she might have been the only one stupid enough to comment on a Russell Brand post about Trump. But
I mean, the thing is that I think a lot of people forget is Laura Osner's never talked about what her politics were. I don't think she technically has yet. The reason people were like, "Oh, she's a Republican,"
she's
was
on
because
Ben
she didn't want to
Shapiro's
get vaccinated.
Bluey.
Yeah, she's
And,
kind of made it clear. But
and,
we found out because she didn't want to get vaccinated.
and without the
That was
COVID
the thing.
and without the pandemic, Laura would still be working on Broadway today. It wasn't the fact that she's a MAGA Republican that got her ousted from Broadway. It was the fact that she refused to get vaccinated that ousted her from Broadway.
Yeah.
They are just behind the scenes, and they are probably the money people who were like, Trump's going to give me a tax break because I'm rich.
Like
You
Nicole
know?
Scherzinger.
Like Nicole Scherzinger. And we're not boycotting their productions. And also, Andrew Weber's politics are not great. God knows we've made our jokes.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
in the words of
we've said our piece.
In the words of no,
Well,
worst
to be
thing
fair,
Britain did.
to be fair, someone was like, "Well, Andrew Lloyd Webber is a Tory." Wrong, actually.
Wrong, he's a Lib Dem.
He renounced his Tory membership in 2020 when Tories refused to fund the arts during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I think he's a Lib Dem now.
As two people
Which
who know
in some
far too
ways,
much about
in a lot of ways, is better. In
Yeah.
some ways,
it's worse.
Yeah.
From two people who know far too much about the politics of Andrew Lloyd Webber and like can tell you what year he's on about what politics, he's not Tory anymore. He was a Tory for a long time, and he did vote against the expansion of benefits for single mothers, which is one of the worst things he's ever done. All jokes aside,
Yeah.
that
it is like
it is the worst thing he's ever done.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible, horrible actions. He was not the only one capable of doing that. Also, again, a lot of other people in the world have done very similar things, you know? Also, there's a bigger discussion to be had about why Andrew Lloyd Webber had the right to vote on a matter like that.
Yeah.
Why did the guy who wrote Starlight Express have the right to vote on benefits?
It, a lot of politics is bizarre,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like, I think objectively, did she put out a statement of something
She
being like,
did.
I'm not the Trumpy.
No, she didn't say I didn't vote for
Oh,
Trump.
she never said what she voted
She
for.
never said who she voted for. I've got the statement open in tab if you want to read it.
I would love to actually.
Because it's from Playbill. So she has said some pro-life comments in the past before. Again, does not make you MAGA. Exactly. This oh, I just saw where did I get that hat with all the exclamation points again? Um oh yeah, and then it talks about how Brad has been accused by sexual assault by multiple women, according to reports from the Times and the Sunday Times. We did not come up with these. So this was her Instagram story. I deeply apologize for
Basically,
her. Yeah.
she was basically just saying, I'm not a Trumpy. I'm religious. I'm Christian. And I agree with the put Jesus first thing. I think the issue with it is one, why are you engaging with Russell Brand?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's
that.
very public knowledge that he has been accused. He used to be this, like, really hippie left-wing guy.
Yeah.
And then he got accused of sexual assault.
Mm.
And suddenly he was like, Trump
Jesus.
is the best man I've ever met.
He suddenly became an
Love this
evangelical
guy.
Christian. There's something to be said about the grifting properties that found within those movements.
Yeah, it just seems like even if she didn't vote for Trump, it's a weird place to find yourself randomly.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just end up in Russell Brand's comment being like, where do I get this hat?
And she was in the UK. And like, could be like, oh, she's American, she doesn't actually know. She was in the UK when the Russell Brand stuff was happening last year.
Yeah.
I also think if you don't feel comfortable with going to see Sunset after that, but still want to, it is good that Mandy Gonzalez has a night.
Yeah.
Go on a Tuesday.
I also think,
or
like,
Monday, whatever she is. There.
I think she would have made it clearer if she was a Trumpy, especially in the UK. I feel like that's something that would have come up.
They do like to be loud with their support.
Like, this isn't me being like, it's fake news.
Fake news.
Nicole Scherzinger is not a Trumpy.
She could be. Like, there's also a
Could
chance
be.
she could be. Couldn't be.
I don't know. It's been big news, but a lot of it seems like speculation.
I think the Russell Brand thing is more of what I'm side-eyeing.
It is like objectively just her being involved with Russell Brand in any way is weird.
That's
to say
like,
the least.
But like also like there's tangible evidence of it. So I'm a bit more like, what the fuck's going on there? Explain yourself.
Yeah. Like again, you don't just find yourself in Russell Brand's comments by accident, you know?
Because you're not on the explore page looking at Russell Brand.
Yeah.
I have something else to say. Also, don't.
I think it's also the thing of if you did random, like if it was just this hat that says "Make Jesus First Again," comes up on your like Instagram explore page, you don't see who it's from. You don't like recognize that it's Russell Brand, and you're like, where do I get it? If you're suddenly like, oh shit, that's Russell Brand, delete it. And then put out a statement and be like, hey, I'm really sorry. I just agree with the message. I didn't realize who it was. I didn't realize like the implications of it. Don't wait like a day full of backlash to be like, I'm not going to tell you who I voted for.
I've seen another sentiment going around of let's boo Tom Francis as he's on his walk. Guys, one, Tom Francis is British and so can't vote.
Like,
two,
what's booing him gonna do?
Leave him alone. He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
There was this. I saw a TikTok from Grace Hodgett Young.
They're just men. They're just innocent men. In
the words of Lana Del Rey, you're just a man.
I was actually quoting Hacker the dog. So I don't know where Lana Del Rey is coming from.
I was quoting Lana. You were quoting Hacker the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. I saw a TikTok from Grace Hodgett Young where she was like, it's election week. I'm not going to tell you to vote because I can't. And like deadpans to the camera.
See.
I think she's funny. Anyway, where's my Hadestown West End cast recording? I was talking with a friend last week.
Where is it?
I was talking with a friend last week, right? And it was running, everything was really looking very, very bad on Wednesday. And she went to me, well, at least the Starlight cast album's out this week. And I went, it's been pushed back a week, love, so it's out this week. It'll be out by the time this is out. And she went, okay, so when's her Hadestown album out? I was like, still not got no date. And she was like, no, I just want to hear Midlands Eurydice. And I was like, I want Irish Orpheus, but we can't get what we want.
We can't always get what we want.
Can't always get what we want. Speaking of Hadestown and voting, I'm a one-issue voter in this case. The What's on Stage award nomination voting round has opened up to the public. It will surprise no one who I voted for.
I've not done my ballot yet.
You're not. Who are you gonna vote for? I won't judge you.
We'll see. I'm torn. The best revival. I love Hello Dolly.
That's what I was thinking.
I never saw Hello Dolly, unfortunately. It is a big regret of mine that I never got to see it. But can I vote for something I never saw? Like, I love Hades. I've seen Hadestown. I love Hadestown.
One of the thoughts I had when I was filling out the form was I wish I could put more people down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously I was voting for Donald Finn for Hadestown, obviously. However, I wish I could have voted for Grace Hodgett Young. I wish I could have voted for, oh my god, I cannot that man's name. Jivan Breach for Starlight. I voted for him for best debut, professional debut. The woman playing Pearl in Starlight, I was very impressed by her performance. What else? Charlie Byrne in Mean Girls. I bash Mean Girls in that production of the West End, all I want. She has a thankless job playing Kaylee, and she does it very well.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by her, Kaylee. So I wish I could have nominated those people because I really do think they're deserving of a nomination, but I only had one slot.
It is one of those things. I mean, you do have to be really harsh with it, which feels hard to do as a fan. Because with Esme, obviously she loves Hadestown.
I love Hadestown.
So her first choice is going to be Hadestown.
And I especially I feel very passionately about Donald Finn's Orpheus. So there's no other person who's gonna take that role. But I would have really liked to show my appreciation for some of these other performances that I really enjoyed, but just don't have that deep, deep love for. Because this
Yeah.
Also, I think this production of Hadestown on the West End is petitioning to put themselves in revival at this point.
Yeah.
Which I don't think any of the award bodies realised the first time it was here. Because they especially would have gotten some What's on Stage nominations if they were eligible the first time. Something else I was going to say. Yeah, next year maybe, hey guys, can you guys let me vote for more than one person? I have a lot of opinions, believe it or not. Surprise, surprise.
I do get why we can only vote for one, because otherwise people would just put every single eligible person.
I'm not even saying unlimited votes, I'm saying top 3.
Yeah.
I do really like some of the categories though of best debut, best takeover, best long running show. I almost put next to, I was like, can I put next to normal for best West End show? Because again, I really want that Function Facts Normal to get something, even though Jack Malone got best featured actor last year, I believe at the stage. But it has to be running. Yeah, the production has to be running for 12 months. So I put in Les Mis. But they also added wigs and makeup.
Thank God.
Categories, which is good, and we're not allowed to vote on them. And video projections are added as well, which I really enjoy. The What's on Stage awards are moving with the times. Right, another thing I have a lot of thoughts, feelings, and opinions of. Miss Saigon, it's back. I saw the little logo going around the night before they announced it, and I went, oh fuck, it's been 35 years, hasn't it? Shit, I really thought we were going to make it through this year without Cameron being like, it's 35 years since I did Miss Saigon. And I'm going to make it everyone's issue. No. The last 2 months, he suddenly remembers, hey, I have a musical I can be making money off of right now. So my Miss Saigon is going to be touring the UK. I think I'm gonna go. You know,
Mm,
I, I think I need to. I need to see it live. People in the UK love Miss Saigon. Anyway, but Michael Harrison, who is Andy's new friend, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean when I say Michael Harrison
yeah.
is Andy's new friend. Like he's done Sunset and the new tour of Joseph and Starlight. He's now getting involved with Cameron because of course they are. Is going to help produce it with Cameron attached and a new director. So this is the production that was playing Australia and Singapore recently. I assumed it was just the Lawrence Connor revival from 2014, the one that the pro shot's on, and then I was looking at like production shots of this one. What's happening?
Sorry, someone came back and I thought they called my name and they
Uh,
didn't. And that
okay.
terrified me.
What because you thought it
Personal
was?
stuff going on, guys.
What? Oh, what because you
Um,
thought it was?
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, and I was looking at production photos, and it looks like the Lawrence Connor version in the set. I'm sure some direction choices are different, and I think one costume is different.
Okay.
But Miss Saigon's never been something that they really reinvent the wheelhouse on.
Not really. It's always been like this is what works, so this is what we're gonna keep doing.
And they did the Sheffield Crucible production where they just kind of like gutted it and were like, can we fix this by staging it differently? Is the story still worth telling if we change a lot of the casting and the aesthetic choices, if that makes sense? And the answer was kind of not. Like the reviews were all right. They were like, this is a good production of Miss Saigon because Miss Saigon is unfortunately quite a good musical.
Yeah.
One thing I've always said is Miss Saigon's weird and complex, okay? It's weird. Anyway, I will be going to see it. They've not announced a date that's near enough, a theatre that's near enough to me for me to be like, I'm buying tickets. But when they do, I will be going to see it because I kind of didn't think it was ever going to run in the UK again. I know this is so stupid to say.
Especially because it's like a loved show here. But it's one of those things
People,
like maybe they'll just never do it.
maybe Cameron has
Maybe
finally learned his lesson of no, Miss Saigon's outdated.
maybe it's had its time. But no, it's back.
It's back, baby. But I know people in my real life who, like, every time I see them, we'll be talking about musicals quite broadly, and they'll say to me, "Did you ever see the revival of Miss Saigon?" And I'll go, "No, I was 10. I wish, but I was 10." And then they'll go, "Oh, it was outstanding. I should have seen it more times when it was here." And it got a lot of what's on stage wins, and it broke the box office record in the UK the first day the tickets went on sale. People love Miss Saigon in the UK. I cannot explain it. The Grammy nominations happened. They were fun. I love the Grammys. I get really into them. I have thoughts on all of the categories, maybe not all of them, but a lot of the main pop ones and the
Most
musical
of
theatre
them.
ones. Most of them, and the musical theatre ones. Ben Platt announced the nominations, and because the way that they announce the Grammy nominations are kind of wild. They have like 4 screens going at the same time and just firing off categories in all of them. And so I was watching like a pop category be announced, and then I see Ben Platt walk onto my screen. I'm like, oh, here we go, musical theatre time.
Here he is.
It is Benny. And the albums that were nominated, sorry, are Merrily We Roll Along, Suffs, The Notebook, The Wiz, Hell's Kitchen, and The Outsiders. I'm kind of rooting for The Notebook.
Yeah.
I really love that score, and it'd be a nice way to honor it. And since Ingrid Michaelson does come from a singer-songwriter world, I wonder if they'd be inclined to give it to them.
I could see it going to Merrily, but also Merrily feels like so long ago now.
But for them, if they're just looking at the albums completely devoid from the stage production,
Yeah, and Merrily is like so
they
it
gave
like
it
objectively it's good.
they gave it to Into the Woods a couple of years ago, and then they didn't give it to Sweeney Todd last year, even though they nominated it. The musical
What did they
theatre
give it to
awards,
last year?
oh, Some Like It Hot, because I was like, I don't think Some
Oh.
Like It Hot is winning it, and then as I was saying that to someone, They were like, and
It
the winner
won.
is someone like it all. I was on the phone to our friend Caris because she was like, Taylor's announcing Rep TV tonight. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, maybe. Now, the next point, Operation Mincemeat provides a casting update with Madeline Jackson Smith taking over from Claire Marie Hall at some point soon. I was quite upset when I saw this announcement. I was just a bit frustrated because why will there then be an entirely white company performing this show?
Yeah. It's even off the top of my head, I want to say it's even the like alternates and swings now are
Yeah,
like all white.
yeah. In you know what? For all the shit we give mincemeat, right? It could be very. It's so easy. How do I want to phrase this? There are no prerequisites for race, for gender, even. For a show that's so good at gender bending and messing with our expectations of that, it is easy to cast it diversely.
Yeah.
And I don't get why they're not doing that.
Yeah. It feels like almost an oversight because I get the whole idea of like, oh, it's not even something we're like thinking about,
Yeah.
which is like fine. But it feels like when you're a show so focused on like inclusivity and
Mm.
bending gender roles and
Mm-hmm.
everything, at some point you do have to consider it.
Yeah. Again, mincemeat have quite a diverse fan base, and it's not like talented people don't exist. It's not like they can't cast it diversely, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like your ragtimes or your Miss Saigons where the races of the people mean something to the story. You know, we've
Yeah.
done away
And
with the gender.
I feel like we have this conversation every couple months, where it's like, especially for something like Operation Mincemeat, it has such a diverse fan base that therefore it must attract diverse applicants
Mm-hmm.
and like auditionees.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I'm torn again because I don't think that in any show should you ever be hiring people to try and fit a quota.
Yes. Yeah.
But I truly do not believe that it's really hard to say because I don't think that anyone involved in like the casting of Mincemeat or the production of Mincemeat was like, we cannot have any people of color in this.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
needs to
Yeah.
be an all-white cast. Like,
Yeah.
obviously not.
No.
And so I do truly think that what they think they're doing is just hiring the best people for the roles,
Mm-hmm.
which is fair. Like, in an ideal world, that would be how we like cast.
Yes.
But especially with the story of Mincemeat, if you're trying to tell a story about corruption of the government and their exploitation of poor working class non-English, because obviously Gwendol Michael is Welsh. Like it is a very nuanced story and it's a very nuanced critique of the British government.
Yes.
To then have an all-white cast do that, I think it loses some of its meaning.
Yeah, and I'm not
Because that
saying.
a big part of like they're playing with race and gender
Mm,
is that it really makes you think, oh, there's that interview with what's her name, Natalie Hodgson,
maybe, yeah.
something like that, where she's like, when you see me, a woman,
Oh, I think
acting like
yeah.
Ewan Montgomery, we interpret the behavior as learned
Different. Yes.
rather than expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we just had a white man playing this role, you wouldn't think twice about his behavior. But because I'm playing it, it feels weird. Like, you really step back and look how, like, annoying this character is.
And also, like,
Which, again, for
should
all
this
the
man be
shit we
getting
have
away
given
with?
Mincemeat,
Yeah.
yeah, for all the shit we have given Mincemeat, I do think it has a lot of nuance in that sense. Like thinking about why is Hester Leggett constantly overlooked and constantly discarded
Yes.
when she's played by a man,
Yes.
and then you'll think either your thought is, oh, but she has good ideas, like she's clearly like because she's a man, your general thoughts about gender are discarded. You're not thinking,
Mm-hmm.
well, clearly because she's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
or is it leaning into a talk about like trans things?
Yes.
As in like the kind of joke of like, oh, it's a man in a dress. Ha ha ha.
They're able to get at
Is it
some
a critique on
really,
that as well?
yeah, they're really able to get some really quite nuanced and prevalent topics within society without really trying too hard to do it.
And I
Without
think,
being
yeah,
like,
like
we
I
are
think a
talking
lot
about
of it
gender
is not
roles.
I think a lot of it is not intentional. I think
Mm,
it's just that when you cast completely blindly,
yes.
there are a lot of implications that happen. And I think, simply put, I think that's what has happened here. They
Mm-hmm.
have casted completely blindly, and
Mm.
somehow that has ended up with an all-white cast.
Yeah.
Not by intention, but
Mm.
the kind of message that is now sending. And when people go and see this show and watch an all-white cast perform it,
Mm.
because the thing we bring up the most about mincemeat, I think at least, is the bedazzled Nazis.
Oh my fucking God.
Is that
Forget
going to
about
look
them.
different with an all-white cast? Because
Oh yes.
is that going to look different? Is that going to have a different impact? When we
Yeah.
saw it, people were laughing. It was funny. It was like, oh, these are the bad guys, but they're also a laughing stock. And that's a real technique of how you take away power from hate.
Hmm.
You laugh at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was in a theatre and a group of all white people came out in
Hmm.
bedazzled Nazis costumes,
I'd
I
be like,
might
this is
leave.
cabaret. This is cabaret.
I'd be like, oh,
Like,
we've gotta go.
but also like the thing I was thinking about when you were talking about like implications that weren't in the story, I was thinking about like how in the UK, how in England and the UK and in London, Hadestown is cast and the accents add an extra layer to the story without really thinking about it. And it's
Yeah,
something that's never written into the script. It's something that I don't think that they sat down and deeply thought about when they were casting, but it added such a great nuance to the story.
yeah. Um, and it's why I don't know if we talked about this maybe when we first saw it. It's why I think if they keep doing regional accents for Orpheus and Eurydice,
Orpheus.
they can
Eurydice,
get
fun fact, is played by someone who has a very thick West London accent, which I love.
yes.
Yes, so it's West London Eurydice.
Um, but if they keep doing like very specific regional accents,
The reason
I
why
think they can get away with a English Hades because they
yes,
can just do RP.
because the reason why my friend was like, I want to see a Midlands Eurydice is because it's not she's from up north, which I know is totally different, but it's not an accent or vernacular that we see very often on a stage. And so that means something
Yeah,
to her. She's like, I want to hear that. When we went to go see the show, Great Young was out, and we saw the woman who is now playing it. So that's how I know she has a thick West London accent. Because I was like, oh, this is great.
bitch, that's me.
I chat like that.
I chat like that.
I did. Me and Noah were talking earlier, and I said, "Oh yeah, Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Check out our 1 year celebration to see me descend into the thickest West London
Definitely
accent
gets
ever."
very drunk. I think to be fair, I want to see mincemeat again. I
We
realize this,
almost
and I
bought
realize it
tickets.
because Esme won the giveaway.
I won the mincemeat
Esme
lorry.
won.
I entered it as a bit of a joke.
Was like, I want to see how hard this is to actually win.
Yeah.
And then she texted me like 2 days ago, and you're like, by the way.
I forgot I entered.
And I was like, I feel like we should go again.
We really debated going, but if we could have bought tickets for like 2 weeks later, we would have gone.
If we could have booked a little bit more in advance, we would have. But
We,
it's fine.
it's one of those.
But
It's
I
one
think
of
this is my
those.
issue is I hated it so much, and then I've like walked away with it and not stopped talking about it to just critique it. That now
But at
I've
least we've
gotten
seen
all the
it.
bad things out of the way. That now I'm just like, fuck, maybe it is okay.
I don't know. I want to see it and know what I'm walking into. Because last time we went in completely blind, and I do think that there's something to be said if we also didn't have any preconceived notions going into it though. So I think we did see it as honestly as we could have.
No, we did because the reason we went to go see it is because
We
we were
knew
talking about
Max
Max
Shetland.
Shelton, and
Whoa.
he was like, "This is the best show on the West End,"
We did have high
I actually
expectations.
haven't seen it yet, but it's the best show on the West
We
End.
had high expectations because all of the reviews were like 5 stars, and all of the marketing was like, we're the best show on the West End.
And obviously, like, I think it's very hard for a show to live up to that. And it might just be that Mincemeat isn't really our kind of show, which I think we've said.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go see it again. I like to go into it with lower expectations. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to go into it being like, I don't like this show. But then be like, you know what? Actually, it's not that bad.
I would like to go into
I
it.
like Making a Man. I like the finale. I like
Sailor Boys.
Salem Boys is good. I like what's
I
it called?
do not like the Girl Boss feminism song. I'm sorry.
I hate the Girl Boss feminism
I
song.
hate it. Claire Marie Hall is
It's
doing God's work on that album with that song.
I know. There's another song.
Dear Bill?
I hate Dear Bill.
You can tell where Dear Bill
Sorry,
is going
Jack
from
Malone.
like 10 minutes
I
in.
hate Dear Bill.
You did a very good job, but you could just tell where Dear Bill was going from like
You do it
minute
beautifully.
one.
You take us on an emotional journey. I feel that, like, Hester's pain. I feel, I understand her character very well by the end of it.
Yes.
The issue is the end of it could be about 3 minutes shorter than when the song actually ends.
I think it's more of a writing issue than a performance issue.
Yeah. No offense to you guys.
No offense to it. Actually, full offense.
Useful. That's the song. I like Useful.
I don't mind Making a Man. I don't know if you
Making a Man is good. Useful is the one where it's Jean and Hester.
Oh,
and they're like,
yeah, that was good.
Ideally, we would get like these medals. Churchill would thank us. We'd be knighted. But that's never going to happen. For once, yes. I would like to feel useful.
Yeah. Although I hate how they just drop that and never talk about it again.
Yeah. Again, maybe I don't like mincemeat.
We go back and forth. Because we did spend some time with it afterwards. We listened to the recording and we're like, We
tried to like it. I need everyone to understand. We wanted to like this show.
We wanted to walk
and
out
sometimes
there and
I feel like I do.
Sometimes I understand it, and then sometimes I think about it like this and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is happening there?
Like when we were talking just then, I was like, yeah, it's like this critique and like the casting reflects that and it makes you think. It's like, yeah, absolutely. What the fuck is all the ladies? It sucks.
Dear Bill needs to be 10 minutes shorter.
Anyways, moving swiftly on from mincemeat.
Oh, into something fun.
I genuinely feel that about 50% of this podcast
is us
talking about Operation Mincemeat, which is rough considering we don't like it.
Mincemeat chat, like, we only talk about mincemeat when it's in the news, though. And it loves to be in the news.
This is a Dream SMP thing, unfortunately. But it's like I think it's Midas. If anyone's on Twitter, if anyone knows who Midas is.
Taylor Swift just dropped the holiday merch.
Yes!
I felt like you'd like to know that. Should I see how ugly it is? I'll let you know how ugly it is.
Yeah, please do. But he had this thing where he took like some screenshot of Dream's private account, like when he tweeted something. And someone was like, why do you follow his account if you don't like it? Like, I want to hate more efficiently, more effectively. No, I think that's us.
Oh, I love being a hater.
Like, we do not shut up about this show. No, I think in a lot of way we care more than their fans about the show.
In some things though, like things I'm a true hater of, I don't actually like talking about. Gracie Abrams, I'm a true hater of. No, things I'm a true hater of, like Gracie Abrams. Sorry, Gracie, I like one of your songs. Streetcar Named Desire to come back to London. This is the Rebecca Fracknell production with Paul Mescal. It's gonna be playing the Noel Coward Theatre. And then it's going to go to the Brooklyn Academy of Music off Broadway. We should go.
4 pages?
Yeah. It's Alice by Heart.
Are you kidding?
Half of it is leftover Spring Awakening music. That's why it makes no sense. And that's why I like it. Because it's leftover Spring Awakening music.
It was a very special group. Ben Platt, Beanie Feldstein, and my daughter, Molly Gordon. Incredible.
That's why it's 4 pages. Yeah, Streetcar Named Desire is a play that I've read. I can't say I remember much of it. Now knows all about it.
I love A Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, I want to go see it.
I really want to go see it. I really want to go see it.
Mom, you like poor mezcal? Um,
I will happily go and sit with Esme's family in the theatre to go and see Streetcar.
don't just be my mum. She just likes Paul Mescal. Although she gets him confused with Andrew Scott. I have to
Oh,
keep telling her that they're two different guys. Um, the Wicked movie premiere happened. Ariana's looks are referential. I really enjoy them.
yeah.
I realized because people are like posting title cards. First off, I can't see the movie for another 2 weeks, so keep your spoilers to yourself. You know? Um,
Spoilers of
no, but
Wicked.
like they're like making homages to the original Wizard of Oz movie, and like keep that to yourself. I wanna work it out myself. You know?
I did. I watched the Oz vlog, and she was like, "Yeah, here's why the shoes aren't the ruby slippers.
Yeah.
It's because in the original book, um, the slippers are silver, the silver
Mm.
slippers. It was for film. It was for
Yeah. It's
Wonderful.
for Technicolor.
Yeah, that they made them ruby, and that's owned by Warner Bros.
Yeah.
So unless they want to pay Warner Bros. A ton of money, it's why in the musical the slippers are also silver. And I think they make like two jokes about it, and then they do not acknowledge it ever again.
Yeah. I realized this week when everyone was like talking about like the history of the Wizard of Oz, I was like, I was a little freak as a child, so loved the Wizard of Oz. Um, it was that Matilda and Mary Poppins were my three favorite films as a child. Um, explains a lot
She was
about me.
always going to be a theatre fan.
Explains a lot about me. And I remember this is going to sound so fucking stupid, and I would like everyone to remind everyone. As a young age, I would sit and watch all of the Wizard of Oz. However, I forgot that there was a lot of music in it until this week, and I was like, "Fuck, I should listen to Somewhere Over the Rainbow." And so I just pulled up the recording, and I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot about all these songs."
Like you do just kind of think of like we're off to see the wizard and somewhere over the rainbow.
I forgot about We're Off to See the Wizard. That's how bad it was.
Girl.
I know, and
I
I
guess
forgot.
there's like down the yellow brick road.
Same, I forgot about that. Like I forgot that that was a real thing and something Andrew Webber invented for
Wait,
the
hold on, I've got to
musical.
see this. Wizard. Not the
And
Andrew Lloyd Webber
not the
Wizard of
Andrew,
Oz.
because that's also a big part of my childhood. Again, weird child.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of music. And like if I only had a brain, if I only had a heart, banger tunes, and I was listening to them skipping around town the other day.
I feel like as well, Judy Garland has another song
R.I.P.
that in
Liz.
my mind I'm not like aware of.
She sings, and then the house began to switch.
Yeah, I feel like she has another song.
Like another ballad.
Something like that.
I'm gonna rewatch it before I actually see Wicked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a purist. Um, Also, Greenwich
I'm
has
really looking at like every
yeah,
single person that's on these.
Greenwich has been renamed Greenwich. I'm trying to get some boots on the ground updates from what's going on there. They're busy, so I'm not doing it. But they need to get their arse up and get themselves over. Um, it's fun. Can't believe we have to do this all again next year, though. How are they gonna top this next year? That's what I keep thinking.
I know.
Like, there's already the
You know,
Wicked car.
yeah. You know Dylan, the like theatre guy Dylan, 11 hours ago. I have never needed Sweaty to be wrong more than I do now.
Oh yeah, about
Sweaty is
Hadestown.
censored.
No, I don't think I could do a Trump presidency without Hadestown, although I won't have to. But Americans shouldn't have to. They are still like I don't understand why he's saying that Hadestown is closing because they're grossing close to 1 million consistently.
I just don't think it's sustainable. They've been in the theatre for a while.
Yeah. Anyway, the theatre diner might be shut down and stopped paying people for 2 months, which is horrible.
So it closed,
Yeah.
and it closed very suddenly.
Yeah.
And it was either something about a landlord or about renovations. I do not remember, but it closed very suddenly.
Mm.
And then it came out very recently that the staff, who are performers, they perform in that damn cafe and diner.
Yeah, like Lisa
Um,
Tully used it was her job between like 6 and brain's not working.
Something else.
And why am I single?
Oh yeah. Um, yeah, but they are owed up to 2 months worth of wages, as well as their like trunk, which is their tips and stuff, that
Mm.
they've just not been paid, which is very bizarre. As someone who went through their employer trying not to pay them,
Yeah.
unionize.
Yes.
Get in a union.
Yeah.
Get into Unite workers. They're great.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck the theatre cafe, I guess. I love that place.
I liked the theatre cafe. I didn't like the diner
Yeah, we went to the diner like once,
once and
and
didn't
it
like it.
it was okay.
The vibes were weird, and it wasn't the performer's
Yeah.
fault. They were very talented. Timothy West died yesterday as recording. It was only announced today. Upsetting.
Yeah.
Sad.
He was
The
an
new
icon.
yeah.
Uh, if you like Shakespeare, you
Mm.
you probably saw him at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Happy Ending gets amazing reviews. Like it got 30. I think Did They Like It is saying it got 13 positive reviews, which is
It's like I
insane.
think Jesse Green gave it critics pick.
Jesse Green liked a comedy, guys.
Like it's incredible. I
We
have
should
seen
be
people
singing
saying
in the
everyone
streets.
loves this show. It's incredible. It is not selling well.
Go see Maybe Happy Ending. I said this last week when I was talking about something. When we
For
were talking about
us,
like,
go and see Maybe Happy Ending
guys, go and see
because we
Maybe Happy
can't.
Ending. Do you know how badly I want to be at Maybe Happy Ending right now? I think it could fix me.
I know. Do you know what else has been getting really good reviews?
What?
Benjamin Button.
I want to go see that
Those all
so
came
badly.
out recently.
Yeah.
It seems incredible.
Well, I heard Scott Fitzgerald and went, I'm sad.
I'd really like to go see it. If we get the chance, I would love to go see Benjamin Button.
I've seen it on Today Takes like daily drops for a reasonable price. If that
Ooh.
if that happens while we're home over Christmas, then we should go.
You know, this is the big issue. As a side note, me and Esme are applying for a Christmas temp job
Mm-hmm.
together,
Yeah,
but it's in a theatre.
yeah,
And so obviously the issue is the times we would be working
yeah. Would be
are the exact times we want to be out.
at the theatre.
But I
Why
was
not
figuring it out. If you
Sorry.
worked like
Yeah.
4 hour shifts 8 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
um, as like the max, you'd still earn like 300, 350 a week. And it's for like
Mm.
2 weeks. So in all honesty, we work hard those 2 weeks, if we get this job. We work hard those 2 weeks. The rest of January,
Guys, we're at the
every
theatre.
night a different show. One night we're in
Phantom.
Wembley, we're at Starlight Express.
Yeah.
The next, we're front row at
Hades
Benjamin
Town.
Button. Then we're at Cabaret. Then we're at Hades Town.
Guys, you all know we're rich when we're at Cabaret.
When we're at Cabaret, because we can afford it.
So we can afford it. I say like I hadn't seen Cabaret this year, but it took me 2 years of entering lottery to win.
We could go back to mincemeat. We could afford it.
We could pay
That's
£80.
600 quid spending money.
We could pay £80 to sit in the back row of the Fortune Theatre. I don't know why I'm talking like with such a West London accent this week. I'm just tired.
The Fortune Theatre.
I'm so tired. But
Let's
no,
scrap this. Let's not do an episode this week.
we kind of have to.
Let's go to bed.
It's hours by heart. It will take 20 minutes.
Ugh.
I know. Anyway, also it's a positive news. Jinx Monsoon is teasing a new theatre role. It's going to be announced at some point today. I hope soon.
Do you hear that?
No, what's happened?
Someone's just playing music right outside my door.
Interesting.
They're playing What's Up Danger.
Okay. I really do love the Today Takes Drops app because I would go see Back to the Future for £17.
Real.
And I have a £8 credit, so I would be paying a tenner.
Perfect.
They also have Hades Town for £30.
It's only 22.
Which is dangerous. I shouldn't have access to this when I'm home. This is gonna be very dangerous for me, isn't it? Anyway, love you, Today Takes. Let's get into Alice by Heart. By Heart is a musical. I'm frozen. Alice by Heart is a musical with a book by Stephen Sater and Jesse Nelson, and music by Duncan Sheik and lyrics by Stephen Sater. A producer would approach Stephen Sater to adapt Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland into a musical. His initial reaction was to recoil. He didn't think that the book had a beginning, middle, and an end. Him and Sheik would be developing the musical soon after the Winter Spring Awakening. So, like, they do Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening is this big cultural moment. It wins all the Tonys. It runs for a while, a lot longer than anyone was expecting. Meanwhile, they're like, our next project is going to be this Alice in Wonderland thing that someone's brought up to us. And then Stephen Sater would be hanging out with Leah Michelle, because of course. And they would see a troupe of young actors called Theatre Geeks of America perform Spring Awakening songs at a concert in Los Angeles. He would, quote, watch these kids and look at Leah, who was only in her 20s and starting Glee at the time. I remember meeting her at 14, and then it hit me. The piece would be about leaving your childhood behind, leaving home, and dealing with loss, death, and war. It evolved from there. So the kids in question that they saw perform were, of course, Ben Platt, Molly Gordon, and the other band of Nepo Babies, including Beanie Feldstein.
The icons.
So really, Alice by Heart is ground zero for theatre camp.
Yeah, in many ways.
In many ways, Alice by Heart is ground zero for theatre camp. Sater wanted the book to communicate what Carroll's classic had meant to him. As a young boy, he spent much of his youth in hospital, bedridden by illness, similar to Alfred. The books helped him get through his hard times, much like Alice Spencer and Alfred used Alice's adventures in Wonderland to get through their darkest times. This is a theme we see quite a lot in Sater's works in Spring Awakening as well. Like, you can see him grappling with the idea of childhood maturity, and he says it comes from the fact that he spent a lot of time in bed reading as a child, which I can't knock. That's basically what I did over the pandemic. They would start workshopping at Harvard Westlake High School in Los Angeles with Molly Gordon, Ben Platt, Beanie Feldstein, Jack Quaid, Darren Criss, and Catherine Gallagher. I don't know what Darren Criss was doing hanging out with these children.
What year was this?
2010.
So he's just coming off of Starkid.
Yeah.
Being real. He's just coming off of Starkid.
It's between Starkid and Glee.
So he's getting big.
He's on the rise.
Kind of I knew him winning situation.
Yeah. They would then receive a commission from the National Theatre, and they would commission 10 writers to create short works for youth companies to perform around the UK. Sheik and Sater were approached to pen an abridged version of Alice by Heart. And there was an abridged version of Alice by Heart that was 60 minutes, not 60 minutes, an hour, that we would all that
not 60 minutes an hour.
I thought I said 90. I get 6 and 9 confused. Basically, Alice by Heart has been about in the UK, available to perform for a while. I think it's now been replaced with that version, but the National Theatre were like, hey, you guys want Alice by Heart? You get Alice by Heart. Thank you, the National. You've done so much for us. It would then go on to the Aspen Wheeler Opera House in 2014 to workshop the show. This would be the 5th workshop of it, one of the only ones made public though, with Sheik saying about the workshop process. I like this process because it's nice not to be in New York because you're kind of there to do this and there's no distractions. This version would be directed by Lynn Bassett. The woman currently in charge of New York City Centre. So, any production that they've done since the pandemic, basically, has been under her direction.
And so she's been killing it recently.
She's busy, man. She's a busy gal. I appreciated her work on Into the Woods. This would be the version with the stacked cast and the clip that goes about every so often. So obviously Molly Gordon was there. Then there was Mike Feist, Noel Galvin, Stephanie Sue, and Philippa Sue.
Fucking insane that Alice by Heart has the most insane casts ever.
No, the pop culture lore behind Alice by Heart is crazy. If that makes sense.
There is not a single version of it where there's not someone insane in the cast.
I have something interesting to say about Molly Gordon. Like, this is how I was
Love Molly
introduced.
Gordon.
Molly Gordon, I'm on your side.
I'm on your
Um,
side, no matter what.
no matter what, I'm on your side, love. But this is
I
how I
know
was
that Chapel
introduced.
Roan opened for Ben Platt, but I'm on Molly Gordon's side.
I think Chapel Roan's on Molly Gordon's side, TBH.
Probably.
What was I gonna say? This was how I was introduced to Molly Gordon.
Mm.
So it's been a crazy couple of years. Like, genuinely, I woke up one day and I was like, why is Molly Gordon the bitch from Alice by Heart everywhere?
Why did you got has Alice by Heart gotten big?
I was
There
like,
is a
what
child screaming outside my window right now.
is me every 8:30 a.m.? It's really annoying.
She might be getting kidnapped if I'm being real, but I'm locked into Alice by Heart.
We're
So
talking Molly Gordon. Like, why do my parents know who Molly Gordon is? It was when I walked in and Molly Gordon was on the telly and I was like,
it's like, excuse me. Since when was there an Alice by Heart pro shot?
this ain't Alice by Heart. Sorry. In 2015, they would do another workshop at the MCC Theatre with Jessie Nelson being credited with being the book writer for the first time. Uh, in the process, however, during an interview with Jessie Nelson in 2019, she would say Stephen and Duncan were originally going to do a series of music videos about different songs from Alice by Heart, taking each character and building a world for them. Then they saw a production that I bought Stephen to from the Theatre Geeks of America, a collection of 14-year-olds who were performing songs from Spring Awakening. What?
Okay, the whole of Greenwich is
Yeah.
properly wicked to the point where they changed the signpost to be wicked themed and it has a Trinity Laban sign in like wicked colours.
I need to find that. I'm obviously
It's
cutting
on
that part.
Wicked. It's on Wicked News Hub.
So, Molly Gordon and her fellow Nepo babies would perform Spring Awakening for Stephen Slater. They were very open-hearted, gifting children. They are gifted. I will give them that.
We have to give it to them.
We have to say they are talented, talented people for all the ribbing we do and all the jokes we make. Molly Gordon, we love you. Ben, it's a little bit more contentious, but we do think we will get along. Anyway, so Stephen suggested we develop a piece about leaving childhood behind and workshop it with the same kids. You have to remember this was almost 10 years ago. I began the workshops in my living room, in music rooms with our own money. I had a instinct there was something interesting to the story and building a narrative in a way to tell it in a meaningful way. One of the first ideas as to why the rabbit was running out of time and what a young person's first sense that time isn't endless or finite. That was the play's individual themes. So, sure, Jack.
Did you know
If
that
that's
Gavin Casalegno from The Summer I Turned Pretty
he
is
got
married?
married, yeah. He is also like weirdly like a Trump supporter, and he kind of creeps me out.
Oh, okay, freak.
Yeah, his eyes are really, really blue, and it's like kind of unsettling. And also, his character sucks.
There.
He's not Conrad. Amazon Prime posted a clip of when they play Silver Springs on the Summer I Turned Pretty, and I've watched it like 5 times this week. Anyway, they would have another workshop with Noah Galvin, Molly Gordon, Ashley Park, Ben Platt,
Again, it's
Anthony Ramos, and
insane.
Mary Testa.
Insane.
I love their commitment to having some of the most promising young stars of our generation in this musical.
It's incredible. But
Instead of having an out-of-town tryout, they would have a production at Vassar College in 2018 because being at Vassar would allow them to focus on the score, book, and other core aspects of the piece. It allows them to do it intensely without a lot of the distractions, without dealing with choreography, staging, lighting, and costumes that come with a Broadway run. This version would have Noah Galvin, Molly Gordon, and Alex Brightman.
once again,
Once again. It would finally have a production off Broadway at the MCC Theatre in 2019 with performances starting on the 26th of February 2019. The New York Times would say millions of children who grew up during the last 150 years have been able to claim close acquaintance with these anthropomorphic creatures in carols, Alice Adventures in Wonderland, and Through the Looking Glass. Some young readers may have been inspired to take their personal credo, the White Queen's assertion that she is able to believe 6 impossible things before breakfast. And maybe, just maybe, if Alice by Hearts were to be seen before breakfast when the mind is still half asleep, it might be acceptable as a woozy consultation of a disconnected dream. Seen in the cold light of the theatre-going evening, however, this production is practically, well, impossible to embrace as a credible work of entertainment. The upside is that MCC's new space, designed by architect Andrew Berman, is comfortable, good-looking, and well worth a visit.
Incredible.
Basically saying how like each of the character relates to a character in Wonderland. I'm not gonna get into it, it's very confusing. Saying, I think I've got it right. The real world characters are so hastily established with sketchily drawn that there's nothing compelling or surprising about their metamorphosis. So it's hard to grasp any relationship between the war-wrapped London in 1941 and the particulars of Wonderland. Much of this fantasy land isn't so different from the Carol's versions imagined by acid head rock stars and their followers in the 1960s, when Alice is encouraged to inhale and join a threesome by a couple of stoner caterpillars. I forget that happens every time. You may expect everyone to start singing Jefferson's Airplane's White Rabbit. Instead, you hear is called Chill of the Regret, a song that blends into most others, which suggests prettier phrases of the Beatles' hallucinogenic period, processed in a homogenizing blender. You can still detect echoes of Mr. Chic's livelier music for Spring Awakening, which virtue of being performed with energizing anger rather than anecdotal wistfulness. The hazy, dreamy songs of Alice feel like they've had their edges sanded off of them. The choreography by Rick and Jess Krupman mostly involves picturesque hand and arm movements along the cusp of movements that still reaches its peak when an ensemble becomes to be an unadulterating caterpillar. Time is a central motif in the script and lyrics. How do we freeze it, bend it, and escape from it? An oversized clock hangs over and dominizes the set. It always reads 12 minutes past 9, or at least, or of this I am sure. I kept looking at it to see if it had moved. The New York Times could be funny when they want to be. Variety would say, creators from every discipline have tried to make the Lewis Carroll's classic children's tale Alice in Wonderland their own, only to find themselves falling down an artistic rabbit hole. The new interpretation from the now intriguingly splifty new home of the off-Broadway MCC Theatre, Alice by Heart, joins the ranks of adaptations that have gone tangled up in the details of nonsense, despite some dreamy melodies, clever staging, and an emotional arc for the title character. Set in 1941, the underground tube station, a group of young people and misfits find refuge during the Blitz. This might as well be an insane asylum because everyone is traumatized to the extreme, including the adult caregivers. The conceit of layering madness on madness, while intriguing at first, becomes tiresome. When a player enters and exits Wonderland, the production's wobbly double narrative. At least Alice, Molly Gordon, is less annoying than in other versions. For this coming-of-age take, she is presented as a pre-adolescent showing substantial growth, both physically and emotionally, as she learns to leave childhood in order to enter a less innocent world filled with grim reality and striking losses. Making it a kind of spring awakening for this Alice seemed like a perfect fit. Composer Cheek and lyricist Slater, whose Jessie Nelson Waitress co-wrote the book, and there are some of Shriek's best melodies, like Afternoon, Western Worlds, and Still, have a haunting ache of young dreamers. But the twin tales are burdened by having too many symbols, rhythms, and word plays and metaphors, and it all ends up being more exhausting than innovating. Worse yet, it's not even fun when things get curiouser and curiouser. Individual characters or moments or melodies aren't enough, although a coming-of-age approach to this Alice is what gives this Alice some distinction, a wonder it is not. The Guardian would give it 2 stars, saying, bombs are flying through the air, splittering the darkness of the London night while children cower in a tube shelter deep underground. The bombs fall inside too, like Alice by Heart, still extravagantly well-intentioned and a hopeless insert new musical at MCC written by Spring Awakening. This musical is Through the Looking Glass, a love of its own reflection. The score gives Alice a nice, mournful opening song, Western words, but it doesn't really suggest who she is, where she is, or what her life is like. About Alfred, we know even less, even though he's coughing up gouts of blood. It's best not to get too attached. The establishing scenes inside the shelter are vividly overwritten, already topsy-turvy, too full of Carol-like wordplay, weird jokes, to really establish anything. Rhymes, couples, and spams jokes later, and Alice is off in Wonderland. Courtesy of Slater's less than inspired lyrics, and now we're down the hole already on a roll. Barely introduced shelter characters with as a Carol analog. The nurse transforms into the Red Queen, a shell-shocked soldier becomes the Mad Hatter, and Alfred becomes the time-trotting Red Rabbit, his life ticking away. And as Alice, Gordon is awfully bland, her voice blends sweetly, but it is underpowered, and her British accent is shaky at the best of times. I forget that they're meant to be British.
It's in the Blitz. They're in a tube station.
I love the fact that this takes place on the tube. In the tube station.
I just know they're in like Covent Garden or something.
I was about to say, like, what tube station do you think they're at? I was going to say, like, Piccadilly or Leicester Square.
Someone's listening to Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga in the bathroom right next to me. Great song. Yeah, I feel like it's got to be one of. I mean, I'm obviously partial to the Piccadilly line.
Obviously, yeah.
I feel like there's not. What else is
There's-
like an old line that has a cute like little underground station?
But they're so underground. Like,
Yeah,
Leicester Square and Piccadilly have a lot of space as well.
but Covent Garden's the one with the like iconic staircase.
That's
That
true.
to me kind of makes me think Alice by Heart.
But they only have 2 platforms.
I'm sure Covent. The thing is, obviously, our perceptions of them are a bit warped because
Yeah.
if it's meant to be during the Blitz, then the stations we know today have obviously been like upgraded and expanded.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can find a list. What tube stations were used in the Blitz? I found something. Piccadilly. That's them in Piccadilly.
Yeah, maybe then.
And then, yeah, I can see in that it says Piccadilly. Also, do you know the reason why the Piccadilly line's so fast?
Why?
It's because it's one of the ones that goes furthest underground.
Yeah, I know, trying to get fucking service past Earl's Court.
Even though they claim to have Wi-Fi now.
Yeah, as if.
My ass. And then we all go on our phones for 5 minutes when we get out of Paris School. Talking about Molly Gordon's lack of British accent. Her British accent is shaky at the best of times, collapses every time she sings. Ryan has a richer voice and even less of a character to inhabit. Most of the other roles are overplayed, blown up to make them seem fuller. The staging is less fluid, and the choreography by Rick and Jeff Japerman is often innovative. Chic score, ballad after ballad, doesn't lack of prettiness. There is occasional touches of wit in the orchestration, a steel drum solo that often sounds like a plastic echo of Spring Awakening. The Song of Purple Summer ended that show. Winter Blooms, with its all you love, those you love still walk behind you message, finishes this one. The creators have assumed comprehensiveness with familiarity with the Alice stories. Expertise will decode some scenes, but it doesn't deepen or repair the musical. Any narrative precision bogs down in set pieces, lobster dance and Jabberwocky, and the psychoanalyzing won't quit. Hours in the rehearsal room might have devoted to all that what it means, innocence and trauma, sexual awakening, but without a strong sense of who Alice is and was and will be. Her journey goes nowhere. It doesn't mean much, so there is no Wonderland. It is synopsis time on that very fun note.
Yay.
It's a long one because people like to yap.
Synopsis. In the rubble of the London Blitz of World War II, Alice Spencer's budding teen life is turned upside down, and she and her dear friend Alfred are forced to take shelter in an underground tube station. When the ailing Alfred is quarantined, Alice encourages him to escape with her into their cherished book and journey down the rabbit hole to explore what the hell? Into their cherished book and journey down the rabbit hole to Wonderland. As they travel through the tale, Alice by Heart explores the poignancy of first love, coming to terms with loss, and finding the courage to move forward. This world premiere musical encourages us all to celebrate the transformational power of the imagination, even in the harshest of times. Bit long, first of all.
Yeah, I have some notes written down for what I want to say about Alice.
I think my thing is I enjoyed listening to Alice by Heart. I think it's kind of fun to listen to.
Yes, yeah.
I have no notes on the synopsis because I could not accurately tell you what the fuck Alice by Heart is about.
So for a bit of context, same honestly. For a bit of context, I've very legally watched a production of Alice by Heart.
Of course.
When I was bored and had a lot of time in my hands as a child, and I've also read the book. Couldn't tell you about the plot. I'm still shaky on the details, to be completely honest.
I get like the premise and I get what they're trying to do.
Yes,
Of this whole like
it's Alice in Wonderland, but it's a metaphor, and we're in the Blitz, and Alfred is dying, and that's why the White Rabbit is so rushed all the time, and
because he's running out of time. Alfred is running out.
yeah.
But it's just there's I think a lot of the reviews were saying there's no clear distinction of like now we're in Wonderland, now we're not. This is like what's happening in Wonderland.
Mhm.
This is like the reflection on the real life, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It feels in the nicest way possible. As someone who has never written a musical and doesn't think I have the skill to, it feels very rushed.
And you know it wasn't rushed, because they've been working on this since 2008,
Yeah.
so I don't get where this went wrong.
It feels like it's one of those things where it feels like they came up with the first draft, but then got so attached to it that they were just like, we can't change this now. This is just how it is.
To go back to that clip that went viral on Twitter a couple of weeks ago,
yeah,
that is basically the version that from 2014 that ended up on the recording off Broadway of Down the Whole of Western Worlds, you know? So my thing with Steven Sater and Doug and Cheek, I'm very familiar with Spring Awakening. I love Spring Awakening. And they are very good at doing coming of age in Spring Awakening. They are very honest and raw about the teenage experience. And again, it is set in such a far off time that it shouldn't be as honest and raw as it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it works. And so I know they have it in them to tell a poignant story about teenage years and coming of age in turmoil, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and I can see them starting to do that with things like Another Room in Your Head, which I think is a gorgeous song. Afternoon, and I'm gonna get the soundtrack because I actually want to talk about some of these songs in a bit more time. Like, yeah, Western Words is great, still is great. Your Shell of Grief is probably the best that Alice stuff gets at trying to say something. And then Afternoon and Winter Blooms, Another Room in Your Head are great songs, but if you notice all the songs that I've called out, they're less about the Alice story. They're less about being in Wonderland. I don't say sorry. But less about being in the Carol world, and they're more about being in the Blitz, per se. So they're more about Alfred is dying. How does Alice cope with that? What's she going to do next? How does she deal with this ever-changing world around her, which I think is probably where their talents are more suited. So I wonder if they had come to this project by themselves instead of being like, oh, we have to do something on Alice in Wonderland. So all of this other stuff is going to support us doing something about Alice in Wonderland. If they had come to a story about a girl who is hanging out in the tube stations of London to survive the Blitz, and she's in here with this zany cast of characters. Her best mate's Diane, who she may or may not love. That's also another thing. I can never work out. And again, I've read the book. I've watched a very legal recording. Are Alice and Alfred supposed to be uh partners? Are they, is there supposed to be a romantic entanglement? Or are they just supposed to be best friends? Uh, and I think it's a bit unsure about what it's trying to say there. Let me just call out some lyrics I like because I do kind of feel bad for being so mean about it, but I understand why I loved this. Um, Afternoon has some good lyrics. Yeah,
Right.
I was just basically saying I think that the musical is kind of weighed down by the very conceit of it being a version of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. I think as well with the stuff you're saying about Spring Awakening, I mean, obviously they're
Yes.
capable of writing a good musical about this kind of topic.
Mhm.
It does almost feel like they did Spring Awakening and they were like, fuck, we really love writing about this topic. We
Yeah.
think it's really good. We think it has a good impact.
Yes.
We enjoyed this. Let's write another one. But we don't just want it to be Spring Awakening again.
No.
So everything that made Spring Awakening good, we're not going to do it again.
Or if
Because
we
then it will
are,
people will just say it's Spring Awakening again.
or if
These
we are,
guys
we're
can't
gonna
write
bog
anything
it.
but spring.
If it is, we're gonna bog it down under so many layers of Alice in Wonderland metaphor to the point where it loses all
Yeah.
meaning.
That it just feels like, and I get where they're coming from because obviously if they had just done all the stuff that made Spring Awakening good,
Yeah.
even through that Alice in Wonderland metaphor,
Mm.
every single review would just be like, these guys write anything except Spring Awakening. They're
Reviews were
kind of
kind
just
of like
stuck in the Spring Awakening thing.
the
It's
reviews
just
kind of
Spring
were like,
Awakening again.
this is like Spring Awakening, kind of. We're gonna talk about Spring Awakening because we like that musical.
Yeah.
um,
It's one of those things of obviously when you write a good musical, you kind of get
mm,
stuck with it. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda is still called the guy who wrote Hamilton.
the guy who wrote Hamilton, when he wrote The Warriors, which is another great musical, which takes place on the tube, on the subway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like I get that you kind of don't want to be stuck in one box. But
Mm.
if you're writing a show with the exact same premise,
Yeah.
like allow yourself to get stuck in a box. Like
it,
allow yourself to be like, what
it's a
made this really good was like this kind of aspect
mhm.
of like what we were talking about with Spring Awakening, how we did this part of Spring Awakening. The fact
It's a
that we like did it really gritty and it was
why
actually
not?
quite dark.
And also like talking about what like we leave behind when we leave our childhoods behind and dealing with death for the first time. I pulled up one of my favorite songs from the show that I think doesn't really work in the context because it's so bogged down by the Alice metaphor, but works in the context of what this song sets out to do with talking about how do we deal with grief for the first time. So another room in your head, which is a duet between Alice and Alfred. I don't think he's being the White Rabbit in this version. Again, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
It's all very unclear.
It's all very unclear. What will you do when you're not here with you? When you sit here and you're not with me, how will you do finding something to do when there's so much that we thought we would see? Will I still sleep in some part in your mind? In some ways, I may never know. Will I still dream that you're here in your mind and I never have to let you go? Will you find another room in your head? Spend some time in another room in your head, wondering why in another room in your head? I think I think that's it's a lovely song that could be used
Yeah.
in a better context.
And I think like there's definitely something to be said about a big difference between what Spring Awakening was and what Alice by Heart was trying to do
Mm.
was Spring Awakening seemed to me at least, seems very like they get themselves in these situations. Like there is a
Society
lot
gets
at
themselves
play.
in their situations.
Well, society has a big part to play in this, and I think we can fix this situation if we fix society.
Yes.
But ultimately, the kids are responsible for their own actions.
Yeah, they are mini humans and they're gonna act like mini humans.
Yeah, we have to treat them like that. The thing with Alice by Heart is it's very much like there was no way to avoid this. How do you deal with the unavoidable stuff? There is no way we can fix society in this sense. If we
World War
assume there's
Two is
always going to be
happening.
wars, like if there's
Yeah,
always going to be wars, if there's always going to be like illness, if there's always going to be death, we don't live in a utopia.
yeah.
How do kids have to learn to deal with that? Fire alarm's going outside now. It's a
Jesus
big day
Christ.
on my street.
What is happening on your street today?
Who knows? It's off now. Um, but yeah, I get like trying to do it of a more like it's on again. Um, we can't change things.
Mm.
How do we learn to deal with this?
Mm.
Because Spring Awakening seems very like um this could be fixed.
Yeah.
You know, look at how bad it is. Look at how bad it could get again.
Yeah.
We have the power to fix this. We
Mm.
should do that. Look at how much suffering we're bringing. You know, like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
The end
Yeah.
of Romeo and
No.
Juliet is very much like the kids ultimately responsible for their own actions. They did this. But
It's
if the families had kind of fixed their shit, there wouldn't be all this pain and suffering.
well, that's kind of what like so I love the song of Purple Summer. I think it fits in very nicely to a very specific type of musical theatre song I like at the end where they kind of face you and go, "This is our tale."
Yeah.
Um, that very conceit, and I will sing the song of Purple Summer. I'm gonna go Spring Awakening after this. And they try and do another moment like that again in As My Heart, where they're quite referential and they're like, where they're referencing all of the other songs, and one of the lyrics that comes to my mind is, "You never play September in a winter game."
Mm.
Um, very much being like, life goes on, life moves on, which is another interesting message. Again, cut the Alice stuff. Just make it about being in a tube station during the Blitz, and we might have a
But
better
in that
musical.
same vein, I get the kind of Alice in Wonderland link. Because on the
Yeah.
one hand as well, it's this kind of like, this is so bizarre. Look at the
Mm,
situation these kids are in. It is insane. It's kind
mm,
of like being in Wonderland, where everything is
mm,
a bit weird. Let's remember
mm.
that. And then also, they talk about that in the synopsis. They're like, how are they? Someone turn off this fucking car alarm. Holy shit.
I can't
Um,
really hear it. It's fine.
Either steal the car or come out and turn it off. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna lose it if it's my housemate's car.
Aren't they going somewhere?
Yeah, in like half an hour.
What if someone steals their car?
Not someone says again. Will it turn back on? Seemingly no. Truly shit. Okay, that's incredible. It's literally the car directly outside my house.
Jesus Christ.
It's not any of like our cars.
But not your flatmates.
No. Someone, Jesus. Someone either just left or came in
Okay.
to our house. This is insane. I'm just gonna power through. So I'm guessing it's not coming up on the mic. So I'll
Okay.
just deal with it.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. Um, and then on the other hand, the thing the synopsis was saying about the like power of imagination is I kind of get that of let's take this really, really, really well-known story, Alice in Wonderland, and let's try and apply it to the like strangest of times.
Yeah.
Like Alice in Wonderland is this kind of I mean, I'm not going to get into Alice in Wonderland too much because I know there are
No.
like academics who talk about it, and it's a very interesting story.
Yes.
But at a very basic level, it's this kind of like cute kid story. You know, it's kind of like, look, they're going to Wonderland, they're having fun, blah 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 blah.
I mean,
And before you, I know it's deeper than that.
the image of Alice like falling down the rabbit hole is something that like everyone's acquainted with from a very young age.
Yeah, I think as well, like the image of Alice, like the blonde hair, the like blue dress, and like the little
Yes.
pinny.
In this
It's a very
version, I have written down she looks like Matilda.
incredible, but like that's a very iconic like child image.
Yes.
And so I kind of get this idea of like, well, they're trying to put their own experiences like in character. These children are
Mm-hmm.
trying to fit their own experiences to stories they already know, with the idea of there gets to be a happy ending at the end.
Yes.
And they choose this kind of bizarre story, because Alice in Wonderland is a bizarre story.
Yeah.
It would be like if I know they had just done it based on the Jabberwocky, which is obviously like the insane poem in the middle of Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
Like if they had just been like, this is, they're trying to fit their experiences into the Jabberwocky poem because it doesn't make sense. Their
Yeah.
experiences don't make sense. They have no way to kind of put anything into context because they've never
Yes.
experienced something like this.
Yes.
But ultimately, life goes on. They have
Mm.
to figure out how it works. And that's like the kind of they leave Wonderland at the end.
Mm.
They figure out they're stuck in, you know?
Well, like in saying goodbye to Alfred, Alice also has to say goodbye to Wonderland and has to leave
Yeah.
him there.
You kind of have to accept that it ends.
Yeah, you
And my
can't live
thing is,
there.
yeah, I think that that's an interesting story. I get the concept. I get like why they'd want to do it. The execution is insane.
Guys,
It's
guys.
why I think like calling it rushed
Yeah.
is the best like description because it's the ideas are definitely there.
Mm.
I think a lot of the songs are there.
Mm.
It just feels like with half the songs, like I know you're saying that they're leftover Spring Awakening music.
They no, they genuinely are. A lot of
Yeah,
Alice's stuff is leftover Melchior stuff that they've repurposed for this.
yeah. It kind of just feels like they're like, well, we want to get rid of this. I'm like, well, we like this song, so we're going to keep it in, even though it doesn't really make sense in our final version, you know?
Yeah,
Which I
no.
get is harsh to say, especially as someone who has never written a musical.
Hey,
Um,
I've also spent I don't feel too bad making fun of it or being mean about it because I've spent quite a lot of time trying to figure this thing out because I think deep down there is something compelling about it.
I think
You
as well,
know?
from what I've heard of it, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fun.
If you don't think about it and just kind of let the music wash over you, it's good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say really because it's fucking Aerosmith.
We did specifically choose this because we hoped it would be easy.
It is. It was. It took me much
And it
longer.
is easy.
It's easy. We get to make our Ben Platt jokes, and we get to talk about Molly Gordon, two things we love to talk about. Um,
Exactly.
and also, Alex by Heart does have a really interesting legacy.
Yeah.
And also, I have to execute the knowledge I have of this music. I've had of this musical for years at some point. You know,
Hmm.
um, because a lot of this was really annoying. Because I was like, I remember someone saying at the time in an interview about this, and then me having to go source it 6 years later. Anyway, so they would make a. I'm guessing. Do you have any more thoughts?
No,
No. Yeah. Same.
not
Um,
really.
I'm thought out. Head empty. Um. So Stephen Slater would release a novel adaptation of the musical in 2020. Sick cover. Like the cover is so cool because it's that classic photo of Alice looking away, and like Alice by Heart, and then like there's like a plane in the style of like a playing card, and instead of dropping bombs, it's dropping like stars and hearts like on a card.
That is sick.
It's a sick cover. Again own the book. I think sick cover every time I look at it. Um, and there's pictures of people sleeping in the tube, which I find really fun. Obviously, not that they had to sleep in the tube, but I like seeing that historically. Um, Kirkus Reviews would say about it. Playwright and lyricist Slater thoughtfully exposes the parallels between a Carol's topsy-turvy universe and a serenity light of life in wartime. The novel is an adaptation of his existing off-Broadway musical of the same name. It is easy for readers to imagine a lost theatrical version of visuals and themes at hand. However, the novel reads like a consolation prize for those unable to attend the real show. The prose is long-winded, competent, and sloppistic, and the story possesses a deathly snowy place. And all the major characters are white. That's interesting about the comment of all the major characters are white. In the stage show, they're not all played by white actors. I thought that was an interesting
Mm.
thing that they pulled out. And I'm not saying that this book reviewer has to read the cast list and done all this research. It's an interesting thing when going from one medium to another.
Yeah, it's also one of those things of it might just not be explicitly stated. And then in that same vein, therefore we assume they're white because
White
if
is
you're
the
talking
norm.
about something in like the 1940s, if they're not white, you kind of assume that has to be a part of their character.
Yeah. The narrative then becomes, oh my gosh, this person's had such a hardship, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rights for schools and community groups are out, and it is done everywhere. When I was Googling like research for this, the amount of like links to buy tickets for community productions of Alice by Heart, crazy.
I kind of
It was
fuck with it.
like I know a production happening soon, and I think I'm gonna go see it. I said to my friend, "This isn't gonna make sense, but we're gonna go see it." And then I tried to explain the plot to her, and I was like, "I don't know. Don't ask." And then I want to talk about the legacy of Alice by Heart for a second, and I think we've talked about it briefly a bit already, but this musical's had a weird legacy because at the time it was the Spring Awakening guys, and now it's holy fuck how many I'm not saying this to be mean, I say this in a positive way, B-list Hollywood actors, movie stars were in this musical at some point. Huh. These people can sing, you know? Like I have written down here, it's like the 13 of it all.
Yeah,
Like how
I get what you mean.
how the general public don't really remember it as 13 the musical, they remember it as Ariana Grande and Liz Gillies from Victorious were in a Broadway show together, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and that's all I have written down for Alice by Heart. Next week, I think we know what we're doing, and I'm quite excited about actually.
Of course, all of us remember what we're doing
I'm,
next week,
I'm getting
as
up
always.
because I think I could be wrong.
I
My
know we're
brain.
starting our like Christmassy shows. This was
Yes.
technically the start in a weird
Yeah.
way.
Alice
This
by
was the
Heart,
transition one.
it feels Christmassy to me. I think it says that lyric about playing winter in a September game.
It's just I feel like for some reason a lot of these like kids-esque musicals
Mm, mm.
end up feeling quite like we did Anastasia last year, and we were like, that one was purely because it's set in Russia, so it's cold, and they have Once Upon a December. And we were like, yeah,
We
fuck it,
were
it's
we
Christmas.
were on a Russia kick this time last year. Because we
Yeah.
did Anastasia and then Comet. No, Comet then Anastasia.
Yeah.
So we just sat around talking
I was
about
like,
Russian
well, it's
history for
cold.
2 weeks.
And we were like, we had the old experts.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about our other love Chinese communist history. There's no musicals about that, so. No, there was that weird Tiananmen Square thing.
Oh my god, I forgot that happened.
Sorry,
I'm
that just came
sure
to
it got
me.
cancelled. I'm
I
sure it got
I don't
cancelled.
know what happened to that in the end.
Almost definitely. I do know what we're doing next week. I
Yes.
remember.
Yes. It's Mary Poppins! I'm so excited. I've been I listen to the Mary Poppins score like right before I go to bed sometimes.
Incredible.
Like it's almost like feed the birds is almost like a lullaby to me still to this day. Like if
Do
I
we
could
get
just
to talk
hear,
about Mary Poppins Returns with Lin-Manuel
we
Miranda?
can talk about we can always talk about Lin-Manuel.
Yes!
We could
We
always
saw that
talk.
in cinema, didn't we?
I love Mary Poppins. This needs to be known about me. One of the biggest things I'm still annoyed about to this day is my older sister also loved Mary Poppins as a child. That's why I watched it all the time. She went to go see the stage show of Mary Poppins as when we were children, and I couldn't go because apparently I was too young. Whatever that
Boo.
means. Boo! I could go
Isn't
because
it
I was
like
too young.
on tour?
I want to, but it's expensive. Let me see how
I'm gonna go
expensive it
look at
is.
how much it is.
And then like Mary Poppins was also like the first show I ever did. So I have a lot. Anyway, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter to get down to post over there.
Oh
We
yeah.
will we will speak to you. All right,
Bitch.
bye bye.